You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey, everybody. You're tuned into Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. What's happening? My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Let's keep the energy high, fellas.
Oh, yeah. That's us.
It's April 2023 in Marietta, Ohio. We are living life to the fullest, podcasting on a Friday night. What are you up to?
I'm up to just get done playing D&D.
Ooh.
We're here to podcast. Gonna play some Dragon Age tomorrow. Go see Mario on Sunday.
Dang.
A full weekend.
Yeah.
I've been prepping for free comic book day coming up soon.
Ooh, I bought my Guardians of the Galaxy tickets already for that weekend.
6.
May the 6th this year? That sounds about right. Do we have a list? Are we going to do the thing where you talk about all the books in a future episode?
The first box arrived this week, so I got 2 more shipments, or maybe 3 more shipments to go before I can get them all. A woman in the shop today said, "Are they going to do something fun for Free Comic Day this year, or are they just going to do the same old, same old?"
Who's they?
Me,
You?
I am there. I was like, well, I'll have to check with him, man, but I hope to have to.
I don't know. You open up the back door and talk to the mannequin. You gonna do anything this year?
That would be a great bit. Just have that damn mannequin sitting by that back door all the time. And when anybody asks you a question, let me check.
Just put a Star Wars shirt on it. Like,
yes.
That's the boss.
Yeah.
A little name tag.
Yeah.
Just says they.
Wonder what she wants. What's more fun than just coming to get some free comics, get your face painted or
I
something?
don't know what more you can want out of life.
Are they gonna have a slide into the traffic?
Is there going to be some kind of game involving a random shoe on the sidewalk?
Yeah, there's gonna. Cinderella finally finds that no parking shoe.
No parking shoe. Oh, shoot.
Stick around. We're going to talk a little bit of comics later in the episode if you're into that kind of thing.
Yay! That's exciting.
But, we'll start with some television.
You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Marsha!
Right, yo. Yo, son, come on, yo, Omar's coming, man.
I'm Prison Mike. You know why they call me Prison Mike?
Beavis, please sit down.
Are you threatening me? I am Cornholio.
First sign a youngster's going wrong, you got to nip it in the bud. Nip it.
And I'm sitting there with Woody, and I turn to him and I go, boy, these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Picture it. Sicily, 1939.
What you talking about, Willis?
Won't you please won't you be my neighbor? Hi, neighbor.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Ooh,
What's new?
I watch television.
What's
I
new
asked
on the
you.
tube?
I asked you the other day. They just started season 2 of Yellowjackets.
Ooh.
Listen to my voice and watch the light. Allow yourself to go back, no matter how difficult it gets. What do you see?
Darkness. We brought it back with us.
It's happening again, isn't it?
You can feel it. We weren't alone out there.
This isn't where we're supposed to be.
Do not cry about this, Misty. Baby's crying.
Kidnapping, cults, death. Your friendships are a little more complicated than most.
On
Not to be
Showtime.
confused with Yellowstone.
No, but this is very Dale. This is very Riverdale. So this is the other Yellowdale. I rewatched the first season. I didn't have Showtime. I didn't have Paramount Plus right now, but I was like, they just started their bundle. So I was like, okay, I got the bundle so I could watch Yellowjackets. Watch the first season again, and it made way more sense second time once I knew everything and knew everybody's motivations. I was like, oh, okay, this is even more fun to watch when you do know what's going on. And I thought it was great, and then I've watched the first 2 episodes of the 3rd season so far. I think that third one came out this week, but it's good show. Did you watch any of it?
I watched that first season when I got Showtime well after it had aired, so everyone was done talking about it by the time I got to see it. But I really liked it. It's creepy and weird and unpredictable, and I like all the actresses in it.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely want to see season 2.
It's so funny to rewatch the first season and watch Jeff, her husband. Like the first season, first time you watch it, you have this just preconceived notion about him. It's so funny to watch it again after the ending. I mean, he has the best line of the season in the last episode, I think it is. And it's like, anyway, it's great stuff. This is the one that's set a graduating class. What year did you graduate, guys?
98.
97.
Okay, this is graduating class of 96. So this is a 90s soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it's anyone that hasn't watched it, it's very Lost. It's a girls' soccer team was going to nationals, and their plane crashes somewhere in the woods, and it's like something weird's going on there, just like happened on the Lost Island, and they flash back and forth like scene to scene. Just they don't care at all. They'll go right back 25 years. Flash forward, flashback, back and forth to these girls when they were on the island to when they're here today, grown up, and some of them survived, some of them didn't. You don't know who, and every once in a while you're like, oh, they're alive. I didn't know that, and it's just really great cast. Christina Ricci and gosh, who's the one lady?
Melanie Linsky.
Yeah, she's my fave, and all the girls are so great. Gosh, I can't think of their names. The girl from Cape Fear.
Yeah. Her.
Juliette Lewis.
Yeah. Yes. She's good. The girls that play them, all those characters, are all great. They've cast it perfectly. And I love the show. So highly recommend Yellowjackets. The second season hasn't started out super duper strong, but they're definitely going places. I don't feel, it doesn't feel as mystery boxy as I thought it was going to be. I feel like I understand what's going on, so I want a little more mystery.
I hate when I understand a show.
I know. I would like there to be a little more mystery now, but anyway, it's good.
That's on Showtime.
Yes, on Showtime. I think you dig it, Cliff.
Yeah. Well, that just reminded me of something there happened with us I don't know. I guess it's been a couple weeks now, but we were out in town running errands, and Alicia said something about, oh, we have Walmart Plus for like another week.
Right.
And I was like,
I had that once. That's how I bought my PlayStation 5.
I didn't know we had it. She got it free as a month free off of something or other that she was doing. I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
It doesn't matter. And I was like, you're telling me that I could have been watching Paramount Plus for the last 3 weeks? And she's like, I don't know. What's that?
Mm.
And I'm like, well, my thought was, oh, Carly and I have been wanting to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Right. Yeah.
And we haven't been able to do that. And I was like, well, crap, we can go home and watch it. But then, so anyways, we went home later on that day, and I was like, can you try and log on with whatever, I don't know, however her hookup was. She logged right into it, come up, and there's all these things that we're like, oh, let's watch that. Oh, let's watch that. Oh, there's a good movie. Yeah. And they were for all of them, you had to have the Showtime add-on in order to watch them, which I was like, well, that sucks. So that turned me off of it. I didn't get to watch any of that.
Yeah, I've heard Showtime is supposed to be being folded in completely to Paramount Plus, isn't it?
That's what I thought. Yeah, but for whatever reason, whatever free thing we were on, we didn't get the Showtime stuff.
I don't know. I watched it right on the Paramount Plus app. I've been watching all this Showtime stuff.
So aggravating. I knew it was on a time crunch anyways.
But it might have been a little. It just recently changed.
Okay.
Like it might have been right after that.
Well, so anyways, I was sitting there and flipping through like, what can I watch? You know, what's on here that I have the ability to watch, that I want to watch, or at least possibly want to watch. And so like I ended up starting, I haven't watched Star Trek in so long.
Oh, and Picard it up.
There's been all this talk about that Picard season 3, and I was like, well, I only got a week. I can't start off on season 1. Like, I'm just gonna have to
jump right in. Everybody says the first stuff bad anyway.
Yeah, so I watched several 6 or 7, the first 6 or 7 episodes of season 3. And it's good. I watched The Next Generation back in the 90s or 80s and 90s, you know, when it was new and still on. And they've brought back all those old characters, and other than, you know, just Patrick Stewart is good, but he's like elderly, you know. I mean, he's just so 80 years old. But it was fun. It just felt like a television series. Like I don't have any great nostalgia for Star Trek Next Generation, but
me either.
But it was good enough, I thought. If you like Star Trek, you probably love this show. And you know, it's fun that they cuss and it's a little bit more the action scenes are probably a little bloodier, that type of thing. As far as the makeup of the show goes, to keep you interested. But yeah,
just what Star Trek fans love.
Yeah, there's some I know, right? Putting a little Star Wars in my Star Trek. But yeah, it's kind of a mystery type story, and
speaking of, you gave me an opening here just to say this. I forgot to say this on the Star Wars episode there we were talking. The one thing I hate when they do, and they did it in this episode, is use these real world phrases like, let's talk about the bantha in the room. Oh my gosh, I wanted to puke. I hated that. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to.
But yeah, no, I this is just a show. I didn't get to watch the full season because they weren't all out yet, but you know, if you have some, you know, history or
this is your last chance to get this Star Trek Next Generation stuff. The characters are all old, you know. Here you go.
They are, and they're all back. They're all back.
Yeah, they're trying here. Quantum Leap, season 1, the new version of Quantum Leap. Of course, huge fan of the original show. Loving the time travel, but this is a new story. I've talked about it before, but they finished up season 1. I thought it ended strong. So I honestly, though, didn't know anyone was watching it until I finished it and found out that they already got a second season. They've been filming it, and I know the OJ General 4-star General Jesse Sarcher is watching it. But I dug it. I like the main guy. And they got Ernie Hudson on there and playing Magic. And it's just a pretty good time travel story. They're doing their best. And if they can ever convince Scott Bakula to join them, this is the kind of show that would take him in a heartbeat. Like they're trying everything. So they will throw him at the wall if he'll show up. So I thought it was pretty clever, some of the stuff they did to finish it up. So if you invest the time, I think it's kind of worth it. And then Apple has all kinds of stuff right now.
Every show I see an article about or hear someone mention that I haven't heard of or don't know what it is always on Apple TV Plus.
They have been
every time. Like, what show are they talking about? Oh, it's on Apple.
There's some show on there right now. I don't even know the name of it, but it's got like 1,000 different famous people in it, and I just don't have time to watch it. Like I can't watch everything. But the ones I did watch, of course, Ted Lasso's back. You guys don't even watch it? You don't watch Ted Lasso?
Well, I watched Ted Lasso, but I haven't been able to yet. I'm trying to wait it out until the season's over.
That's right. Gotta try to do it all in a month. Well, when you do, check out the Big Door Prize.
Good morning. Hello. Nice school there, birthday boy. That shirt, that's funny and also makes me feel bad.
Love you, Dad.
It's always been there.
That thing will tell you your life's potential.
Where'd you get it?
No idea. It just appeared like magic.
You know what I got? Superstar.
Well, I got dancer.
Male model. Make it stop. What's going on? Why is everybody trying to change their lives overnight?
We're getting a divorce.
The Morpho inspired us.
What was your card?
Healer. Assigned to engage in self-healing.
Already in that doctor is in the profession that you do every day.
You asked if I was happy. Are you happy?
I'm 40 years old. I have no discernible talent apart from whistling. And I've only ever been in one relationship. I don't know if I'm happy. Never had to think about it. Which was nice, actually. It's not like I really believe there's a magical machine that can tell people what they're capable of. But literally everyone is trying it. So they got together a week ago and now they're married. That's fun. Maybe everything is not quite as it seems.
That is deep.
I think I have everything I ever wanted. Maybe you didn't want enough.
This machine, magic or not, is reminding people our lives have more than one possible path.
This has Chris O'Dowd. Do you like him? Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the premise of this show is it's about a small town or whatever, and he's like the first guy they show. I assume he's the main character, but there really isn't a main character. It's like about the town, but they focus on the same 10 or so characters. But the whole deal is it's some concept of one night this machine appears in the general store, and it's like you go up to it, and it's kind of like Big, where the machine shows up there and they got to make a wish. But this machine shows up, I think it's called a Morpho or something. But you go up and it spits out a card. You give it your information, it spits out a card that tells you your potential. So whatever that may be, like if you went up to a machine, you're like, you know, you're going to find out supposedly what you potentially could have been. What's the best thing you could have pulled off? And it just throws the town into topsy-turvy, you know, what people get.
There's no way in the world I'm pulling that lever.
do not want to pull a card and find out what you could be. And it's definitely like throws people for a loop, because sometimes some words mean, you know, what it spits out in the card may mean something different to you than it means to someone else, and that type of stuff. But I really dig this show. Like it's good. Highly recommend the Big Door Prize. Of all the shows they have on there, that's definitely one to check out. I think you would like it, Cliff, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Is a co-host of Low Level Podcast. Is that a possibility?
I think, I'm curious what it would say on there.
Reach for the stars.
if you were there and it said podcaster, it spit out podcaster. You know, you made it. You did. You reached your full potential.
That's it. I'm done.
What are you guys watching?
I feel like I got to mention, I know I'm the only one who watched this, but we just mentioned it's our 7th anniversary here at KPP, early April 2016. And you guys remember how much time we devoted to the CW shows?
Oh, yes. I thought about that the other day.
How much time you guys...
Right.
Yeah.
I never watched any of that.
Twiddling his thumbs. We barely even mentioned it, but I had to check out Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
This is the end of this superhero. I'm sure it's only going to get one season.
Is this like Baywatch Nights?
Right. Yes. But yeah, the once powerhouse CW Arrowverse superhero lineup is puttering to a halt, and the last thing they're spitting out here is this Gotham Knight show.
Petty theft, grand larceny, assault.
Are you really the Joker's daughter? Is that why you murdered Batman?
I am gonna find who did this.
With no Batman, who's gonna solve the murder of Bruce Wayne?
They think I killed my dad because I wanted his money?
I'm Robin. We have to go.
We're gonna find who really killed my dad.
Look around. A bunch of thieves turned fugitives. Joker's delusional daughter. A sidekick. Batman's orphan.
Anybody want to give me a crash course on being vigilante?
We will no longer live in fear.
Their new heroes are also their most wanted fugitives.
Time to pick a side.
Gotham Knights. New series premieres Tuesday, March 14th.
It sounded bad. The description was bad. The trailer looked bad. Everything about it didn't look good. I'm like, I'll watch the first episode just to get the flavor of it. Guys, it's not bad. It's pretty good.
That'll be the damn thing, though. Like, this show will be really good, and then it'll be done. Yeah.
So, it's silly. It starts off, they kill Bruce Wayne, right? So, Batman is dead. And so, it's all these hangers-on who have to solve the case and save Gotham. So, it's all this stuff of DC continuity and DC mythology. They mention the Narrows, Burnside, which is a neighborhood in Gotham, Robinson Park. They all go to Gotham Academy. There's a reference to Haley's Circus, the Mutant Gang, the Court of Owls, Talon. Like, it's all this real heavy Batman mythology. But the star of the show is Bruce's adopted son, Turner Hayes, everyone. Turner Hayes.
Who the hell is Turner Hayes?
Unless there's some big twist, he's nobody. He's not a character from DC.
Okay.
Again, unless
they're
deacon us somehow. But it has Carrie Kelly as Robin in it. Stephanie Brown. She's not the spoiler yet, but her dad is a famous game show host, which her dad was a villain, the Clue Master or whatever it was. Harper and Cullen Rowe, brother and sister. And Duella the Joker's daughter. So everyone else on the show is a character, including the only adult in the place, Misha Collins from Supernatural, is Harvey Dent. So it's this whole collection of DC characters, and Turner Hayes, bland young white man. But it's done a pretty good job of like, they frame him for Bruce's murder, and everything's being orchestrated by the Court of Owls that no one believes even exists. So it's one of those, we're not sure who we can trust, because anyone could be affiliated with the court. And I don't know, for a CW superhero show on its last legs, I've been impressed with what they've done without a whole lot of fanfare.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit I've quit watching them all throughout the years, but I never felt they were really bad. Like, I mean, they're television shows on a very small network, but just as a universe, it was always good enough for me. I always enjoyed the shows. There were so many of them there for a while, and I just kind of got, I just slipped little by little, missing episodes, or I'd stop watching one series and then eventually stop watching another. But yeah, I mean, I remember, it was a lot to keep up with.
And even Superman and Lois has been good. We're in season 3 now. It's a lot of the family drama, the teenagers, getting along with the parents, and Lana has broken up with her husband who cheated on her. Like, there's all that CW stuff we always get. Mm-hmm. But it started, Lois thought she was pregnant, which drove me crazy the entire episode, because she had to wait on a blood test. I'm like, you're married to Superman. He could look in your belly or he could hear a fetus in your belly. And then the doctor calls. And Superman's like, what's she saying? It's like, Clark Kent can't hear a phone call from across the room. Like, you're dealing with Superman, knock it off. But anyway, it was very dramatic. And she wasn't pregnant. We found out she actually has breast cancer. So for the last couple of episodes, they've been dealing with chemotherapy and like, don't treat me like I'm sick. I'm not, I'm still going to do my job as a reporter. I'm still your mother. And there's all this really well done drama. And they've introduced Chad Coleman as the villain this season, who was Cuddy from The Wire and Tyrese from Walking Dead. He is, I forget his name. He's an actual DC villain. I'm drawing a blank, but he had he's from the suicide slums in Metropolis, and he's kind of built this kingdom up of wealth and power through crime. And Superman goes to confront him, and he was like, oh, you were busy saving the day. You weren't saving us. You weren't saving our side of town. Like, you were busy saving the world. You didn't ever look over here. I had to do that myself. So it's silly superhero drama, but they're doing it as well as I think you could do on the small screen with the budget they have on over there on the CW. So it's winding down, it's swirling the drain, but they're still giving us some good stuff over there.
I forgot one show on Apple. Remember Schmigadoon? Did you watch that, Cliff?
No, I haven't, and I keep seeing comments about it, and I'm like,
that seems like a very you show.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, I mean, you're the first person I think of when they came out with that show.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. This year it's Chicago. So now they're in that type of setting or whatever, but it works. I watched one episode and I liked it, so I'll probably watch some more. You're gonna have to. I don't know if you're gonna be able to watch all this stuff in a month.
I doubt it. That's a lot of watching.
You have to take some time off work.
No doubt.
Probably. Just dig a hole and watch stuff.
Bruno Mannheim was Chad Coleman's character.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I would never have guessed that.
Oh my gosh!
Now the cream of the crop, guys. What just came out?
Dave.
Oh,
yeah, I'm Dave.
We love Dave.
That's Lil Dicky.
Trying to bring back the old school flow, like, my name's Dave, and I'm here to say.
Joking! Pull the beat up. Welcome to the tour.
This your first tour. You supposed to go hard.
This is the biggest event of the year, man.
I'm Allie.
Listen, no shitting on the bus. You shit, you split.
Okay. How is the search for love going?
I mean, I had such high hopes. This was supposed to be like the romantic climax of life. This is the Scroll Guard. It is an STD preventative tool.
Oh, wow.
You look great.
I feel so protected.
I'm so happy that I get to see America for what it is.
You're like my favorite rapper.
Is that me?
It's Concrete.
This is the heaviest thing.
Wow.
You're with him every day. How do you resist him?
Are you serious? Because I'm with him every day.
Welcome to the Met Gala.
Need some adversity, dog. Bro, you fall down 7 times, you get up 8.
Why would I have to get up 8 times if I've only fallen down 7? The math doesn't even add up.
We just gotta control him.
I don't have any control over Dave. Tour is just the one time where there's no deadlines. I can just live life to the F. Whoa! Please do not shoot.
USA. USA.
You don't know my values. Maybe we have more in common than you might think.
Why don't you just tell me what they are?
Mom, what are our values?
Coffee for Jew? Jew? Coffee for... There you go, Jew.
Dave's back.
On FX or Hulu. They've been replaying season 3 late at night on Hulu, and I caught the very last episode where they have he's going to perform on the VMAs, and I looked at the info on it. August 2021 is when that season 2 finale was. So we have been well over a year without any Dave. So
too long.
Finally, season 3 is back, and he is out on tour.
I thought these first 2 episodes were pretty strong. Like,
yeah,
I really dug it. You know, he's dealing with fame, but the second episode was even stronger than the first, and was just the evolution of man. Just chaos, but it all worked. What's that girl's name?
The actress
cameoed in this. She was in the Jane Levy. Is that her name? Or was it
Levy?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But she was good. It was just, I like how they wrapped it up and everything. The whole, it's a chaotic show that's definitely very original, and I think he's funny. He's very funny.
Yeah,
I was a little perplexed why they had the word Dave on the tour bus.
Yeah, it should say Lil Dicky.
Well, I see it was sponsored. There's an app called Dave. It's like a cash advance. It's a way to get cash advance. It's called Dave. So his tour is sponsored. Like
that's funny.
So the show Dave is sponsored, but it's a very meta product.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's a great show. I cannot recommend it to everyone in the world, but it's
be raunchy.
It's one of my faves.
Yeah, mine too. It's just, he's such a weird guy and such a unique character, but the show does such a good job for me of understanding, putting myself in his shoes and how he thinks and the chaos and what's happening. And because it gives me anxiety. That last episode gave me anxiety as I was watching.
I believe that.
Oh my gosh, I could not deal with this. So as everybody is,
I was the opposite. I was like, that would be so fun to work on a set like I was like, man, that would be amazing.
Yeah. But it walks that line of implying, the star getting too big for their britches and they got to control everything and all stuff. But also, it looked like he needed to do everything he was doing. Like if he wanted it to be the way he wanted it, and he was the one that was having to make these decisions. And, I felt like I didn't feel like he was too much. He just was on a time limit. And
the show always does a great job of he's wrong a lot. he gets comeuppance, but
Mm-hmm.
like he's never the bad guy. Like he learns something or he sees it from someone else's perspective. Like the show is just so smart at, it's not just, oh, this is the right way to do it, or that's, it's a very complex look at things, and he's a very complex character, and I like.
Yeah, he's evolving.
He has such an ego, but he's also so like unsure of himself. Like it's just But I will admit I don't like his music. I'm not into the any of the songs that he performs. I'm not into it. But
I would say I like about half. I like about half of them. I don't own any of them, but
yeah, it's definitely of a younger generation.
It's more, it's more entertaining. It goes along with the show fine. Yeah. So,
but we're not coming in straight for the music. So,
no.
But yeah, I've really enjoyed. I just don't feel like there's really been an episode that I can recall where I've just been like, okay, that happened this week. Like every episode, I feel like hits on something for me. And
well, it's starting to do the Atlanta thing and starting to like have each episode tries a new thing, so I don't want to give it that much cred, but it's they're trying to make each episode more epic in some way, Yeah, it's good. Great show.
One of the best shows on TV. Who would have ever thought, I mean, we're in season 3 now. We can say, who would have ever thought Dave? Like, how did we even get on Dave? I don't even remember what brought it up.
I don't know. I had heard about it. I heard about it and watched it.
Because I didn't know who Dave was. I if I recall, I think my son was like, "Oh yeah, Lil Dicky."
Lil Dicky, yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, who is that?" So,
save Martha. Puny God.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
I'm Batman.
Kneel before Zod!
On the roof! Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
I went to the movies. If you want to talk about a couple movies, I saw John Wick 4. No, I don't think there was any colons in there or anything. But my adventures in customer service continue as I had to go to the counter.
They put sausage on your seat.
They put sausage on my movie. No, I went to the mall and got the good theater, all happy and everything, and then I get ready to go in, hit the bathroom, come out. Nick's like, "You're not gonna believe this. This family just came walking by here looking for John Wick theater, and they have like a really little kid with it." I was like, "Okay, where'd they go?" He's like, "Oh, they went to the bathroom." I was like, "Oh well, we don't know what they're doing. Whatever." We go in, sit down. Sure enough, they come in our row with a kid that is like 3 or 4. I'm pretty good at judging kids' ages. This kid is 3 or 4.
John Wick 4.
Holding their hand when they walk age, and I'm like, what is happening? I'm completely just like, it's ruined. It's all ruined. Like, already. I was like, I cannot stand this, that nobody's going to like look out for this kid, and there's a lot of people in the theater, several people in there, and they're like, everybody else just walks by. It doesn't even phase them. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They come walking in. It's like a mom and dad. Like the parents are obviously in their 20s, the late 20s or whatever. And they walk in, sit down. They've got like a teenage girl with them. And then the grandpa comes in walking with the little kid and sit by grandpa. And he's just got a big smile on his face. I'm like, this is John Wick 4. 1,000 people are going to die. What is happening? And then nothing's phasing them. So they start showing the previews. It's like the red band thing comes up. It's the goriest. I don't even want to look at this. It's these gory horror movies.
I'm just imagining you giving this kid the side eye, and he looks over and pulls his shirt up, and there's like a pistol in his waistband.
Right.
Like, mind your business.
He's got a tat. I look over. I'm not looking. I mean, it was like gross horror movie. I don't even know what they were doing. And I look over, and the kid is just mouth hanging open, staring up at that. And his mom looks down at him a few seats away and just smiles at him. And he looks at her like she's a freaking crazy person. And I'm beside me. I get up, I go out to the counter, and there's 3 like teeny bopper girls out there. And they're like, yeah, can I help you? I was like, yes. Did you guys let a 3 or 4 year old go see John Wick? And they're like, oh, well.
You sold cigarettes to a 4-year-old?
Yeah. Like, she's like, oh, well, yeah, they said he was 6. I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing anyone has ever said to me.
It says
like,
parental discretion advised.
I said, I mean, when I was growing up, it was always you had to be 17 or whatever, see an R movie, unless you're with a parent or guardian or whatever. It's like, I get that, but there's a limit. And I was like, what does 6 have to do with anything? It's an R-rated movie. And she's like, well, they got to be 6 or whatever. I was like, what? I was like, this is freaking weird. And I go back in there, and that kid sat and watched the movie. They did get up a couple times and walk him outside and walk him back in, because he just would get when something crazy happened. Like the guy sticks a knife in somebody's hand, he has to rip his hand out of the knife. The kid like gets up and starts walking around, and I'm like, yeah, this kid does not want to freaking be here.
And it was also, wasn't it like 2 hours 40 some minutes? Like, wasn't it?
It's
really
a long freaking movie. Yes, like almost 3 hours long. It's great, by the way. I love John Wick 4. It's a good movie. Like the best John Wick, in my opinion. Donnie Yen was freaking amazing, and it was just good. It had a good enough ending. He used nunchucks in this one, and I don't know if you guys ever use nunchucks, but if you've ever picked up a pair of nunchucks, you hit yourself in the head with them. You just did. And Keanu Reeves is using them amazingly. And anyway, I looked it up after I was done with the movie. I was like, Regal Cinemas, what's the policy? I wrote him an email. Of course I did, because I was mad. I was like, just so you know, your policy, first off, it's stupid, but if the rules are the rules, whatever. But it's not 6. They have to be older than 6. But as long as a parent older person has to buy the tickets, but they basically take whoever they want in there, but they have to be at least 7. This kid was like 3 or 4. So at least you do have a ridiculous policy, but you should at least enforce it. So other people aren't uncomfortable with having a baby watching.
They're going to have the parent yell at them, like, don't tell me how to raise my kid. So yeah, some teenage person at the counter is not going to enforce
it. Feels like there's some legality to it or something. Like they should, if this is a policy, it's policy for a reason. So anyway, I don't want to go on and on any further about it, but it's very disturbing to watch a kid watch that stuff. And it makes me sick that nobody else cared, because that messes people up. We got people going around shooting people up and stuff.
He's going to grow up to be a John Wick.
Exactly. John Wick. I know he's going to be in John Wick 44. Anyway, I also saw Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and was pretty excited to see that. It had been getting some good buzz, and I enjoyed it. It was a good time at the movies. Felt like a good sesh. They didn't blatantly do anything to make you called out that it was D&D, other than although it was in the Forgotten Realms. There was all kinds of references to the worlds and the things, but they also made up their own spells and magic items for it and did kind of their own thing, just like you would in a real campaign. And sometimes people couldn't pull off what they were trying. It kind of had that feeling of they didn't get the right roll and everything, but I dug it. I think I'm ready for a sequel.
I'm so hard to please with that kind of stuff of like, yes, I want there to be references and fun Easter eggs, but like too much of it or doing it the wrong way, I felt like
this was exactly right. This was exactly right. It was in that world, but if you didn't know anything about it, it was just a fantasy movie. It was a good, fairly clever story. I thought it was they did the time of writing that script of paying things off. Mm-hmm. They paid things off that sometimes nobody does anymore, so I thought that was good. Hugh Grant was good. Chris Pine, everybody was good in it. I dug it. So definitely would watch another one if they make enough money. They spent way too much money on it is the problem. It's a huge success, dink dink, but
Perlmutter success.
But not in Perlmutter's eyes. Yeah, they spent like $150 million on this movie, which is way too high. So even though it made a bunch of money this weekend, it needs to do that for multiple weekends, and you're not gonna do that with Mario coming out this weekend.
And we've talked before, like fantasy. How many huge flops have there been in the last decade of?
Right.
Oh yeah.
The Robin Hood movies and all these movies they keep pumping out of like people love big budget fantasy, right? And like it just hasn't been working. So yeah, a hit like this I think is good for the genre.
Anyway, did you watch anything, Jordan?
Not in the theater for sure.
For sure.
So it was late one night and I didn't want to watch anything I'd been watching. I couldn't find anything I wanted to watch. So I ended up on Tubi, which is like,
Oh Tubi. Man, that was a late night. What were you drinking? Oh, yeah. They turned the lights on. You realized you're on Tubi.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling good about myself. So I'm scrolling through Tubi and I just type in comic book. I'm like, is there anything I haven't seen or anything? So I literally just typed in the words and I found a documentary called My Comic Shop Country. And it didn't look super cheap like a lot of these like handmade things. I'm like, okay, let's give this a shot. And it was good. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. I went back. The same guy, Anthony Desiato, directed a movie in 2011 called My Comic Shop Documentary, which was about the shop he used to work at, Alternate Realities, and its owner, Steve Otto. So it was just like the shop had been there forever. Steve's, a charismatic guy, and all these customers and former employees are fun to talk to. So he just made this really cheap, amateurish documentary about this store. So that's on YouTube at the moment. That's from 2011. So a couple years after he made this documentary, 2015, this store closed down after 23 years. And, like any long-standing business like that, there were people who were sad it was gone. So he got a bunch of people together and made another documentary. So now it's My Comic Shop Country. And he wanted to follow up with some of these people from Alternate Realities and then also go to other shops around the country. So he went to 20 different stores, interviewed a lot of people, interviewed some like Paul Levitz from DC, writer Mark Waid, and a ton of just fans and comic shop owners. And again, it's very inside baseball. It's very, my day-to-day reality, but I found it really interesting and just a good reminder of how weird this industry is and how unique it is among American retail establishments. And that idea that every store is so different and just takes on the personality of the people there. How some are just dingy, dusty, holes in the wall with cats sleeping on the boxes. And then some are just cluttered with toys in every corner. Some look like museums with lighting and vaults and like perfectly clean shelves. And some are
that Torpedo Comics was freaking amazing looking.
Some focus on back issues and hard to find stuff. Some focus on brand new stuff. They're more like bookstores and graphic novels. Some are really kids focused. Some are more adult focused, like, selling Sergeant Rock books from the 50s. Like, just every shop is completely different. And you kind of I think you gravitate toward the ones that serve your needs the best. So I don't know. It was just a fun look. It wasn't really expansive. It didn't visit tons of shops or talk to super famous people, but I for what it was and where I found it and how I found it, I thought it was really excellent.
Yeah, I immediately watched it when you posted about it. I was like, oh, there's comfort food. Bring it on. I don't feel like I learned anything.
Come on down to Tubi with me.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I was like, exactly. I was like, it's late. I was rolling to Tubi here. I totally dug it. I liked seeing all the different shops, all the different people. Felt like, yes, the industry's dying, but there's also hundreds of stores out there with a bunch of people that love this stuff and keeping it alive. And I liked seeing them all, doing it, living it. And some of them are making money at it. Some of them are doing stuff, but a lot of them, it's just, they just love it. And I always will envy that. Anybody that gets to go, do work with something they love. Even if you get tired of talking comics to people all day, you're not talking about wrenches or soap dispensers or something. You're talking about something you actually care about. And that's a luxury. It's maybe the one luxury to go along with it. But people that are just talking about holes and blood and whatever, that we're not excited about that at all. So I always have envied that. I always thought, man, but the only way I'd ever do it is if I had millions of dollars. It didn't have to worry about making any money, but.
Yeah, that was interesting. That a couple of people who were like, "Oh yeah, my wife has a good job," so like, it's like, yeah, I'm not here. I'm not actually paying the rent.
Yeah, the saddest part was every time that they showed the guy, interviewed the guy, and he like, who would let themselves be on this and be shot for every interview, sitting in front of a wall of Funko Pops. Like, oh, it was so awful. I was like, that looked so terrible. And they went into that,
there's people who hate Funko to death. There's people who live on Funko.
Yeah, I hate it. And I was like, but it's like, some people, that's what you got to do, I guess. Keep your store open. It was good. Good.
Yeah, it gave me a little juice of like, I'm doing this. I'm a hero. I'm making the world a better place.
What would it made me think. I was just thinking about, like, when you came to here, you got out of college or whatever, and you decided, I don't know, I don't remember. What made you say, I'm going to do this? But what would you have done if you got here and we had a comic shop at the time?
I probably wouldn't have, because that was my driving force of, like, I lived in Columbus for 5 years where there were great comic shops. There were 2 or 3 really good comic shops I would visit regularly.
Yeah.
And then I moved back here. It's like, I missed, no one else can do this. It's like, why can't I?
Yeah. That's just think of the timelines. If there was no asylum here, like, we would not have a comic shop, or who would have stepped up? I feel like that's the type of thing. It's like some comic book fan would have had to step up and do it. But we're glad to have you. We got some place to get our comics.
Let's shoot a documentary. Running the asylum.
Yes.
That's right.
All right. Any other comic book news? How about some of that? We haven't done that in a bit.
Sure.
We'll kick off with the release of Insectakid number 3 is available now. And your friends at So Pro Comics.
My boys are so pro.
Michael, Our pal wrote and drew this, colored by his wife Christy, and I did the lettering. So it's Kickstarter. If you're a Kickstarter backer, it's being mailed out. We're getting the variant covers in soon, so we'll get all the rewards out. But it's I think it's up on the website now, soprocomics.com, or at my shop at Asylum.
Sweet.
6 months until Mothman Festival, so time crunch has begun.
Yeah,
we got to produce some new comics before Mothman Festival. That's like the only show we have booked for this year so far.
Cool.
I finished a novel that just came out last month called Secret Identity.
What? Is this a comic book novel?
By Alex Segura.
Who's that?
It is. He's written a couple comics.
I know that name.
Novels. He wrote a Poe Dameron novel, and he did Pete Fernandez mystery series. A bunch of noir stories set in Miami. So it is a novel set in the 70s in the comic industry. And between each couple chapters, like, they do comic book art. So like the comic they're producing in the book, they actually did the art for it. So it's a murder mystery. This woman moves from Miami to New York to get into the comic book biz. She's stuck being a secretary, really wants to be a writer. And she starts working with a guy to create this character, the Lynx, and he ends up murdered. So something is afoul in the comic book industry. So there's a bunch of references to New York in the 70s and the industry and all the folks who were there at the time. It's a fictional story. It's a fictional company, a fictional character, but it's kind of a crime noir murder mystery set in the comic industry. So I thought it was pretty interesting.
Cool.
Now,
sweet.
Jordan, the one thing you did not mention about Insectikid is the further adventures of Ronald P. Tramp.
That's true. He's right on the cover.
That's right. There he is. So
yeah.
And I thought this guy, this new character he has introduced, tracks. I think he looks like the guy from Dave. He looks like his manager, the redheaded guy.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does.
That's funny.
I know he uses some photo reference. I wanted to use that.
I read a comic book series from about a little over 10 years ago. It was Captain America, Man Out of Time. It was Mark Waid. I bought it at some point. I don't know. So I'm on some Captain America Facebook page or something. They were talked about it, and they were doing a poll this week of like a writer's Cap writer's bracket, and they were down to Wade versus Brubaker on one side of the bracket. And I was like, oh, that's kind of tough because, you know, I love Brubaker's run, but Wade really gets Steve, you know, and so I was like, well, I have this book before I cast my vote because it was that close. This was like the closest vote. I was like, I'm going to make my vote count here. I took this book to work with me last night and read it. And it was really good. It was one of those retconny between the pages stories, going back to when he, you know, starts out like they, you know, back in the war, but it really revolves around Avengers 4 and when he comes out of the ice, and this is like in between all those stories happening at that time. What was he doing by himself? And he it was like kind of his awakening is what it was. He was getting to see like Tony Stark took him to the museum and was showing him stuff about Martin Luther King and all this, and he was seeing all the changes in because really they gloss over all of that in the movies, and then, you know, even in the comic books, when he comes to our time, he's not doesn't seem to affect him that much how things are different.
I saw somebody say that in a review or something recently that kind of hit me, how they kind of downplay even Nazism, where they just, I've never liked bullies. Wait. You're equating Nazis with bully? Like, it made me think, yeah, Marvel was kind of soft. It's Hydra.
Absolutely.
It's not even really Nazis. It's just a Hydra. So it's like, if we can't take a stand that much.
Yeah. So this really digs into that and lets him see a world that has changed, and there's like his doctor's a woman and all this, and he, he's noticing all these positive changes because in the story he just wants to get back. It's saying that while he was doing all this stuff with the Avengers, he was also he really just wanted, Reed Richards had said something about a time machine. He was like, yes, do that. Get me back. I got to say Bucky. I got to go back and say Bucky, and I love that idea that's what he'd be like, screw all this. It's crazy here. But while he was here, he was seeing all the good things that have changed, and then, there's a lot of twists and turns, and interestingly, he does find a way back. And then you get to see him go back and see how bad it was back then. Like, he's like, man, he had gotten used to the good changes, and now he's going back and seeing all the bad stuff. So I really liked it. I really thought it was cleverly written and elegant. And the idea and how he traveled through time, got back and did all that was really neat, clever, and a way to do it, to get him, very Doc Brown, get a message to the, to the future, how he did it. And I just dug it. I really liked it. I ended up abstaining from the vote.
Who won?
Brew. Which I wanted Brubaker to win, but I did, that side of the bracket, but I didn't want to not vote for. I didn't want to pick. I felt like, let's leave it up to the rest of the people, and he just edged out Wade. The other side of the bracket, if you care, came down to, who would you guess? I want to know you guess.
Grunwald and I'm going to Stan Lee, didn't write him long enough to.
No.
Nah.
Honestly, I just blanked. Because it was at one point, Englehart was there for a while. DeMatteis was there for a while. Gosh dang.
Haven't we talked about that, doing some kind of bracket of favorite runs or something? I know we had talked about that at one point.
At some point.
Our favorite.
Yeah, it is Grunwald versus J.M. DeMatteis, which is like, DeMatteis is when I started reading, was him right at the beginning of his run. And so I'm very partial to him, but then Grunwald wrote forever, and I love him. Like, he's going to win. There is no doubt that Grunwald
pretty
wins.
Much the definitive.
He's the favorite. He was the number one seed from the beginning, but it's fun to go through that, listen to that stuff. That's my stuff. But I love the book. Love the book.
Yeah.
Thought that was a needed. It's great to pick up something you're like, wow, this was actually needed in the canon. So I loved it.
Sounds awfully woke, but I would give it a chance.
Yeah, in a good way. In a good way.
A little too political for my taste. Now, the hottest book this week, the debut of Spider-Boy.
Spider-Boy?
Buzz about Spider-Boy?
I had seen something, yeah.
They're doing the final. This is gonna be the final Spider-Verse story, they say. Yeah, right. But all the spiders from all over the multiverse have been around, and several people have been killed. They've been cut off from the web of life, and they finally figured a way to bring them back. So they start bringing back all the people who've been cut out of reality, and they restore this person. They're like, wait, who's that? And then this Spider-Boy showed up. He's like, "Hey, I'm Spider-Boy. Thanks. Good to be back." They're like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm your buddy Spider-Boy. I've been here." Kind of like the Sentry, I think, is the idea. Is like he was in continuity, but he was at some point cut out. And they're like, "We don't believe you." And so he runs away. He was literally in 2 panels of the book. But it was the hot one. People were buying multiple copies for the first appearance of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So get ready. They're going to get slabbed, and they're going to be on eBay very soon.
Yep.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Anything, Cliff?
I finished up, not too long ago. Finally took like a year to finally get through that Black Label Human Target book. That it's Tom King. Thought it was really good.
It ended? This series is over?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you satisfied with the ending? Don't spoil it.
I will not spoil
You have it?
Yeah.
You have the series in issue form? Is that how you have it? Or book?
I bought them all.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. The art was fabulous in it. In every issue, and there's even a one shot of some back stuff. But I thought it was really good. I highly enjoyed it. Very 60s kind of Art Deco, mid-century modern look to it. And of course the story features my favorite, the 80s JLI crew, and kind of each character almost has an issue with the Human Target, and it's good.
It sounds very I gotta say, guys, it sounds very Identity Crisis, which is my fave. So
yeah.
I love the Batman issue.
Yes,
we're just through the whole thing. It's I better turn left. No, Batman's gonna know I'll turn left, so I better turn right. No, he'd know I'd turn right. Like he just becomes obsessed with how far ahead Batman would understand everything he's gonna do.
But yeah, I really, I'm a sucker for anything with that crew and the oddballs and weirdo heroes. But, there's even an issue with Nord in it. And I mean, if you can get an issue with a Green Lantern named Nord, that's kind of a dog man. I mean, you sold me.
Hey, Dogman, that is a great segue.
Oh my!
Guess what
time to find out.
Is?
Well, it's time to find out the best-selling comics of the last year.
So if you came in the other day and I was in the middle of it, I was talking about
That's
Marvel
what you were
sales.
doing. Yeah,
I thought maybe you'd know that it was
winner and still champion.
The book scan numbers have been released. I've got charts.
Colored. Oh.
All right. So I've been hyped about this all week. I'm so excited. I will try to be brief, but so this.
So you can all go watch Tubi here in a minute.
This is better than Tubi. All right, so for 20 years, this is the 20th annual report that retailer Brian Hibbs has compiled. And you can find all this on comicsbeat.com on his article there. We've done this for the last several years. This is book scan number. So this reflects actual sales made through bookstores. And that includes Amazon. So this is not comic shops, and this is not school libraries or book fairs or direct to consumer. So this is the most mainstream numbers we have in the comic industry. This is people who go, who browse on Amazon, people who go do Books A Million. This is the mainstream reader who may not go to a comic shop. Diamond eliminated all their sales reports during the pandemic. They used to put out, here's the monthly top sellers. They don't do that anymore. So we literally have no data what is selling on the direct market. We don't know. There's guesses, there's estimates, but nobody has any idea because Diamond's not in great shape. So this is all we got. We got to look at these numbers. So what Brian does, there are over 50,000 items. So we're just talking trade paperbacks. These are not individual issues. So 50,000 in this report. So he breaks it down to the top 750. So we have a ton of huge sellers at the top, and then it goes, a very long tail, who just sell a couple dozen copies. So, it goes way down. So just big picture, last year, 2021, there was a huge spike. Sales were up 68%. With this pandemic, everyone was shopping, ordering in books to read and puzzles and all that stuff. So there was a huge, huge growth. So there was barely any growth at all this year. So the growth was flat, but the sales were still there. So there was a 1% growth this year. So, but still, to even be 1% above that huge record spike is still pretty good. So that wasn't a sustainable growth.
Right.
So
shareholders aren't going to be happy.
Right. So 2020, 18.2 million books sold. 2021, 30.7. This year, like 31. So we had a big jump, and we're just trying to sustain it. So he puts out the top 20, and as we've talked about many times, it's nothing like what you see in a comic book store. When you think comic books, we think Marvel and DC superheroes. There isn't a Marvel or DC superhero in the top 250. The top 250 comics sold to a mainstream audience contain no Marvel or DC heroes. All right, so put that in your back pocket. So the top 20.
Are there any fake noodles in there?
15 of the top 20 are intended for kids or middle readers. The other 5 of the top 20 are manga. As always, manga blows English books out of the water. So the whole, I said 50,000 items, but things are so skewed toward the top. So these top 20 comics, just the top 20 sold 5.3 million copies. That's 10% of everything sold. Just the top 20 were 10% of every book. So yeah, these top few blockbusters basically sustain the whole market. The profits that these bring in cover all those books that sell, 25 copies. So only 68 comics sold over 100,000 copies, which is up from 52 in 2021 and just 22 in 20. So again, sales are going up, but it's few. We're selling a lot of comics, but a few varieties of them. And none of them are for the direct market. None of them were conceived, hey, let's do a comic and get it into comic stores. Like, we're not even thought of in the marketing and the sales of these books. So, all right, of the top 100, 53 are manga, 41 were kids' books, and only 6 were American comics aimed at adults. 3 of them were different versions of Mouse, which you remember was in the news a lot in the last year, being challenged and taken out of schools. And 3 of them were volumes of Lore Olympus, which is a webcomic, a modern retelling of the Greek gods Persephone and Hades. So it's a webcomic, has a huge online following, and so the print versions of that. So those 3 Mouse and 3 Lore Olympus are the only ones in the top 100. Dave Pilkey, our hero, creator of Dogman, has 65 comics in the chart, which includes Spanish translations and box sets and reprints and things. So 19 books in the top 750 are his. 7% of all comics sold. So Dogman is still the champ. The numbers weren't quite as big as the years previous, but he is still.
He's losing ground though. He's losing ground.
Comics sold. 7% are Dogman. And Cat Kid Comic Club.
I was going to say, what about Cat Kid?
Yeah, that's the spinoff of Dogman. That actually outsold Dogman this year. The first 3 positions are Cat Kid Comic Club.
Well, that's what I know. I bought a Cat Kid for my nephew this year because he's already had all the Dogman.
So the rest of the top 20, there's Five Nights at Freddy, Babysitter's Club, Heartstopper, which was
that was a show.
Netflix, turned into a Netflix show. So, and then several manga books. So yeah, it's again just my point doing this every year is just the
absurdity of it.
Yeah, we grew up in comic shops, and we think this is what
we're over here on Tubi. These people are out on Netflix.
Yes, we are the Tubi of the comic industry. So yeah, I will post the bar graph, but that gray splotch 40% is Scholastic. They are the number one publisher in the world by far. They only have 520 titles. So that's not a ton. 520 books make up 40% of the market. And so the top 5 are not people you think of as comic publishers. Penguin Random House, HarperCollins, Holtzbrink, Andrews McMeel. These are traditional booksellers who understood, wow, there's a rabid audience for young readers' books, and they are the top 5 comic publishers in the world. So if Scholastic's at 40, DC is at 6, Marvel is at 4. So we're at single digits for what we call the big 2. So in the big scheme of things, DC came in at number 6. They had 20 titles in the top 750, which is half of what they had 2 years ago. The top seller, any guesses for DC's top seller this year? Based on a property that became a TV show.
I'm blanking.
TV show.
Sandman. The Sandman trade were the top sellers.
Oh, I can prove that.
The number 2 DC book was Batman Year One, because that was the one most associated with the film.
Yes.
The gritty noir. So that was the highest superhero title on the charts at 257.
Jeez.
So the best-selling Batman book on the planet was ranked 257. The rest of their chart was almost all Batman comics: Batman Fortnite, Long Halloween, Killing Joke, Batman Who Laughs, Hush, Dark Knight Returns, Court of Owls. So it's all the classics. I'm sure boosted by the film. They had Watchmen and V for Vendetta in their top 20, like their perennials. They have a lot of the young adult books too. Beast Boy Loves Raven and like some of those middle grade. But they do very good for DC, but they don't, compared to the other young readers' books on this list, they do not. So number 7 publisher was IDW, up from number 10, thanks mainly to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. That hardcover sold a lot, 66,000 copies, so that bumped IDW up. Number 10 was Dark Horse Comics, and they have a ton of properties: Minecraft, Stranger Things, Critical Role, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, they have a lot of really popular stuff. So they're number 10. Number 13, Image Comics, only had 5 titles in the top 750. Image, you think that's the book that's what should be selling in a bookstore,
right?
That's the mature, mainstream book. So the number one was the Invincible Compendium TV tie-in.
Yes.
Number 2 was the new Saga volume, and then the rest was 3 Invincible, 4 Invincible, 5 Walking Dead. So again, it's what people recognize from other sources. It's not it's the tail wagging the dog. Like, it's the comics aren't leading you to these shows. The shows are leading to the comics. So, and there are a bunch of companies that just had one book in the top 750. Boom had Berserker, the Keanu Reeves book, in the top 750. Dynamite had The Boys Omnibus Volume 1. It's been a perennial seller since the show came out. And Oni Press had Genderqueer, which was the most banned book of the year. So that makes it one of the best sellers always.
Right.
And then way at the bottom of the list, to end this all out, Marvel Comics, who rule the bookstores, or rule the comic book stores, rule pop culture. When you think of comic books, the majority of the planet now thinks about the Avengers and Iron Man and Spider-Man.
I think a Dog Man.
They cannot sell comics in the mainstream. They had 5,000 different titles in stock at bookstores and placed one book in the top 750.
Spider-Man something.
Nope.
I don't know.
Moon Knight.
What?
Moon Knight by Jeff Lemire. Looked like the costume from the show with the hood and the suit. Number 483 top seller this year. Moon Knight by Jeff Lemire sold 17,000 copies. The only other two books sold over 10,000 were both Moon Knight comics. And number 4 was Ms. Marvel, sold 8,000. So stuff that was on Disney Plus just barely made them a blip on the radar. So the big thing he points out is there were 4 other publishers that Marvel licensed with that outsold Marvel. So Viz did a Deadpool manga, sold 74,000 copies. Scholastic did a Miles Morales book, 42,000 copies. Abrams did this Alex Ross Fantastic Four graphic novel, hardcover, $50 book, 16,000 copies. Then Penguin Random House did they started these Penguin Classics. They put out Black Panther, Fantastic Four. So Penguin Classics, Amazing Spider-Man sold 14,000 copies. So this is like the first 20 issues of Spider-Man, the old school original 60s stuff. Marvel publishes that exact same stuff in the Mighty Marvel Masterworks format as a $16 book. They publish it as the Epic Collection, a $45 trade paperback. Only sold 1,800 copies of that. They sell a $125 omnibus version of Spider-Man. Only sold 1,600 copies. So how does another publisher outsell? You have 3 other versions of the same book, and some other publisher smoked you in sales. And Brian, quote, says, "It seems significant to me that Marvel is the worst publisher for Marvel Comics. If everyone can do better than you selling your characters, it makes you wonder why you're still in the publishing business." So something is horribly wrong at the mainstream side of the fence, where all the real money is. So Marvel's doing great in the comic shop, selling lots of variant covers, selling lots of first appearances of Spider-Boy, but something is off in the real world, and it has been
I
for
don't
a
get
while.
it.
So
I do not. I've never understood this.
I don't know if they're not trying or just are not succeeding. I'm not sure. But reading all this stuff about Ike Perlmutter getting fired, there was some little thing I had not seen before where it said Ike famously didn't understand the importance of backstock to a publisher and didn't allow any to be kept on hand, which illuminated such a thing. For I've been in business almost 18 years, and it is constant. When an Iron Man movie comes out, all the Iron Man stuff's out of print. Guardians of the Galaxy, what's available? Not too much. So it's like Ike was too cheap to keep stuff in print and keep it available. And I'm sure that has something to do with missing out on opportunities by not having the books people want. They stop looking for them eventually. But I don't know if that has anything to do with this big picture, but I don't know. I will post the link to this. It is a very, very long and involved article with lots of graphs and lots of numbers, and I love every bit of it. But that's the overall scope of this, is that the world of comic books and graphic novels they're two very different worlds. The one I live every day is completely different from what mainstream America is buying in their bookstores and clicking on Amazon.com. So it's crazy, and it's still Dogman's world, and we're all just living in it.
Yeah, I like that every year. Like, hear about this craziness. Well, I think we did it.
I'm exhausted, but I will still talk about this. Anyone that comes in the shop, I will gladly tell you all this stuff. Like I was doing the other day.
Ask me about Dogman.
Yes.
I sold a Dogman today. The brand new one just came out.
I bet. It's like it's the new what was that called? The Droopy Kid or something? What do they call it?
Wimpy Kid.
Wimpy Kid. I can't remember.
Kid.
I know I had to buy all these freaking books for my son, and I don't think they ever stopped making more and more and more of them.
No.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That's right.
Yeah. Shoot, he's in the Thanksgiving Day parade now. They got a big balloon.
You own a character like Spider-Man that is so it's the most universally recognized character, one of the top 5 in the world.
And people are buying Dog Man because they literally can't. They don't want it. They just. What is up?
Yeah.
What does it matter with the world?
And it's great. I mean, the sales numbers I'm glad people are reading comics. Like, that's a good thing. And none of this is a complaint. I'm glad there's a ton of kids' books that are cool and kids are into and are really excited to read.
Yeah.
There's just none of them to star the characters that we all grew up with.
Right.
I think if I were to, have the thought of, hey, I wanted to start up my own comic book shop, I think I would name it Scholastic Comic. Bring your lunch money in, kids.
Book fair. Yeah.
Yeah, book fair. Scholastic Book Fair.
I would find some of those old racks.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd find some of those on eBay or something and fill the whole store with those Scholastic racks.
Man, I used to love Scholastic Day.
All right, that's the comic book world. That's the pop culture world. And that's it for us at Ka-Pow World. Thank you for listening. Check out our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Check out our socials. Check out a comic book store. Just go into a comic book store and see what's happening.
Maybe on Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, Free Comic Book Day. What could go wrong? Nothing.
Yeah, maybe there's do something good this year.
There's a free comic book Dog Man. All right, we will see you soon. My name's Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.